By late February 2026, an intense 5-week military campaign between the United States, Israel, and Iran ground to a halt. The visible toll was staggering, leaving severe scars across Iranian military infrastructure. On paper, the U.S. and Israeli forces secured major tactical victories. They systematically targeted and dismantled huge swaths of Iran's defense networks, specifically crippling its future missile manufacturing capabilities. But a closer look reveals a different outcome. According to Israel's former Deputy National Security Advisor, Chuck Freilich, the coalition missed its two primary objectives. They failed to trigger a regime change, and they failed to achieve total nuclear eradication. Iran walked away projecting a political victory. They absorbed a month of continuous strikes from two superior militaries and simply refused to capitulate. On the exact same day peace talks gained traction, an economic shockwave hit the Gulf. The United Arab Emirates formally announced it was quitting the OPEC oil cartel. A military ceasefire in the Middle East directly caused the collapse of a 66-year-old global economic alliance. To understand why, we have to look at the water. Iran survived the combined might of the US and Israel by playing a very specific geographical trump card. They threatened to completely close the Strait of Hormuz. Take a look at this map of the Persian Gulf. This 21-mile-wide channel is the Strait of Hormuz, and it functions as the world's most critical choke point for global crude oil transit. By weaponizing that narrow stretch of water, Iran forced the United States into a corner. American leadership had to abandon their regime change goals and accept a ceasefire, because a prolonged blockade here would trigger a total global market collapse. You can see the immediate effect on this chart. The mere threat of a blockade sent global crude prices violently upward, hitting multi-year highs almost overnight. Even with the fighting paused, diplomatic progress remains completely paralyzed. There is a deep, lingering trust deficit stemming back to the U.S. withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear deal. As a result, Iran is bypassing direct negotiations with Washington entirely. They are dictating their ceasefire terms and demanding sweeping sanctions relief through regional mediators like Pakistan. Iran neutralized overwhelming American firepower by shifting the battlefield from military infrastructure to the global energy market. They proved that geographic leverage can beat bombs. That sudden spike in oil prices created an immediate, massive profit opportunity for top global producers like the United Arab Emirates. But the UAE hit a wall. Inside the OPEC Plus cartel, Saudi Arabia and Russia were strictly enforcing production quotas. Legally, the UAE was blocked from pumping more oil to capture those new profits. This quota dispute exposed a much deeper geopolitical friction. The relationship between UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman had been deteriorating for years. Using the chaos of the Iranian war and the volatile oil market as diplomatic cover, the UAE made its move. Effective May 1st, they formally declared independence from OPEC, leaving the historic cartel with just 11 members. This bar chart reveals exactly why they left. The lower bar shows the UAE's artificially capped OPEC quota. The much higher bar next to it represents their actual, massive, untapped production capabilities. They were losing out on billions. The international reaction was swift. U.S. President Donald Trump publicly praised the UAE's exit, framing their departure as a way to lower domestic gas prices back in America. While the war rattled the military balance, its lasting impact was economic. The UAE used this shockwave to justify breaking ranks and openly challenging Saudi regional hegemony. We are now looking at a stark reality. U.S.-Iran relations operate with zero diplomatic trust, and an emboldened Tehran is demanding its unfrozen funds from a position of undeniable strength. Next door, the economic landscape of the Gulf has fractured. Saudi Arabia's unquestioned dominance over regional oil policy has been shattered by its closest neighbor. The outcomes defy expectations. The tactical military winners failed to secure their strategic goals, while the cartel leaders lost control over their most capable members. The failure of the American military campaign demonstrates that unrivaled firepower is no longer enough to force political capitulation in this region. And the fracturing of OPEC shows that legacy institutional cartels can no longer contain the economic ambitions of rising independent powers. The 2026 ceasefire ultimately leaves a fractured Middle East in its wake. Independent nations are now charting their own courses, immune to the control of both Western superpowers and historic cartels.